Thank you for joining us for another episode of Family Case Files. I'm your host, V, and we have Judge Julie Kerman, my co-host.
Ivy, how are you tonight?
Hey, it's good to have you on. Very excited about this show because a lot of effort's going into things, and we've already hyped up a lot of people for the show, so we want to just go ahead and get down to it. And we had our previous episode, but we felt like there was not enough time. We had to go into a lot of things that wasn't spoken about, or we didn't get too deep into. So we still have our guest from last episode, Deborah Carruss.
Nice to see you again, Deborah.
Thank you.
And so we want to get more into the fact that you were essentially drugged.
Yes.
Terrible situation to be drugged, and you're made accountable for your actions while you were drugged.
Yes.
And you lost your family in the meantime.
Yes.
So I guess we got to look at the legalities of this. So what do you think? What do you think, Judge Julie?
I mean, talking about the legalities, I mean, the sad part about this is it's not just Deborah. Deborah represents so many mothers and fathers that I see on a daily basis, that I see all over Texas, all over the United States. I read about them, and they are drugged. They're forced to either get put on psychotropic medication, even if they're not on any, or if they are on, they're forced to stay on them. They're forced to maybe increase the prescriptions, and it almost enslaves. I mean, they drug these parents so much, along with the children, as you know, V, that we've talked about before. But what's the easiest way to keep everybody under control? You drug them, right?
Mind control, yes, that's something I'm very well knowledgeable in. That's my area of expertise. Yes, yeah, and Big Pharma, and you spoke about the court or the judges having contract psychologists, psychiatrists, and then we all know they have contracts with Big Pharma, and so is this part of the rolling racket here, the scam?
It is, and it's not so much. It's not the judges, V. It's the department. It's CPS, the Department of Family and Protective Services. They have these contract therapists, psychologists who do the evaluation, psychiatrists who do psychiatric evaluations, the psychosocials. There's an array of different names for what they put the parents through, the different kind of evaluations, and then the different types of therapies and that sort of thing. And it's, to me, there's just a huge conflict, because you've got these contractors who are, the state pays them, and their job then is to evaluate Deborah and other moms and dads to see if they need either further evaluation through psychiatry, to see if they need medication, to see if they need therapy, and that sort of thing. And to me, it's always a bit laughable to think, well, of course they're going to say that they need therapy. Of course they're going to say that they need medication and family therapy and individual therapy and all this kind of stuff, because that's how they keep their contract. The truth is, if they were to do X amount of evaluations for the department, and let's say they do 10 of them in a month, and they only recommend 2 of those to go on to therapy or further evaluation, we all know what's going to happen, that they're going to lose their contract. So it's about the dollar. It's not about fixing the family. It's not about fixing the parent. It's about the dollar.
Well, I think it's dangerous. It really sets a dangerous situation where we have the government forcing children on drugs, especially the ones that aren't studied, like these vaccines and whatnot. But you have all these school shootings and whatnot, and you find out these kids were hijacked and loaded with a bunch of psychotropic drugs. So it seems like it's that modus operandi of the government, from chaos to order. So it just keep them in business, right?
They do, and it's, you know, not only is it, when you talk about putting these kids on the medication, the psychotropic medications, to me there's several reasons that they do it. Number one, again, they have to control. What do you expect to see a child who's been ripped out of their mom's arms, or children who are ripped out of away from their family, ripped away from siblings who are ripped away from each other? What do you expect to see? You expect to see kids who are angry, who are depressed, who are upset, out of control, right? So what's the logical, if you're the department, answer to that is you medicate them. So they're medicated so they can, again, so they can keep control of these children. And it's so very sad, because I see so many of these kids who are on medication, V, that you could look in the PDR, the physician's desk reference for the medication, that these drugs aren't even recommended for children under 18. So, and they're doing it anyway. And it's, it always, I'm probably going to age myself right now, but it always, when we talk about drugging the Deborahs, the dads, all of the children, it always reminds me of the movie The Stepford Wives. And both Deborah's nodding her head. She knows what I mean. It feels like that's what they're doing. They're turning everybody into zombies.
Yeah.
And even a step further than that is now they're labeling children. They're labeling them with ADHD and ADD and all of these Axis 1 and Axis 2 diagnosis. And they're babies. You know, you've got a 4 or 5 year old who's just jumping on furniture because that's what 4 and 5 year olds do. And now they're labeling them and saying that they have a mental illness, and that label, it stays with them. It stays with them the rest of their lives. And it's criminal what they're doing.
Absolutely. So basically MK Ultra situation here. So Deborah, I mean, did you feel as though, how did that go? They say, well, you can't see your kids until you have your medication, and then it turned into, oh, well, you're too screwed up to have your kids back.
I think they knew about the order way ahead of time, considering that I'm not sure what I can and can't really say, but I feel that I more or less fell into some sort of like illegal adoption ring, if I can say that. And then also the order is ridiculous, because if I was going to have, and most mothers would have panicked with an order like this. I've been dealing with this for over a decade already. And I've had enough time to process what happened to me. But at this point, it is sort of, what makes me angry is they're saying we have to keep this order because you might do something bad. But I would have, if I was chronically mentally ill, I would have done something despite the order, I think. But I'm an extremely patient person, and I guess a part of me thought, well, maybe this will go away. A part of me has been in denial that something that horrific ever happened to me. I mean, I think I felt just about every emotion, you know. But then you're not dealing with the neighbor who broke into your house. You know what I mean? You're dealing with the people that are supposed to protect you, having done a horrific crime. Is the way I feel. And if you really look at what they did, it's almost indescribable. I mean, I would like a federal judge to throw it out, just get it off my record. I mean, I not only disagree with the order, but also the criminal charges and everything else they did to me. You know, I could have spent the last 10 years going to school or maybe having a job, but I haven't felt, it's like I lost all my motivation through this. And it's like they wanted to, you know, they wanted it to be my demise. But if I've shown them anything, I guess I've shown them that I'm pretty strong.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, there's not even really words for that case. I except to express how it's been my demise in many ways. So.
Now, you told me something off camera. You were taking the steps for a separate evaluation. You were seeing a nurse or something, correct?
Yes, I went this morning, and I had told them originally that I wanted this tape recorded because, you know, that was a discreditation case, and so the discreditation, it continues to follow me, and she did not want that evaluation recorded. So at that point, I you know, proceeded to just say, well, you know, thanks for your time.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why she didn't want it tape recorded, but I feel at this point that I need, you know, with what's been going on in here, that I need to do that. I needed to do that for my own protection.
Is that something, where is the legal right for a governmental entity to say you have to put this chemical in your body? Let's start there.
You had to start with one of the tough ones, didn't you?
Of course.
Here's the thing, and it is frustrating. If you ask them, if you walk up to them and say, where's your legal right? Where is your right to do this to me? They're going to say, well, you don't have to. You don't have to take this drug. You don't have to take this medication. But we think that you're mentally unstable because our contract doctors and therapists have said you are. So, you know, it's really up to you. You can take the medication and maybe we'll give you your children back, or don't take the medication and you're not going to get your children back. So that's how they're getting around the legality of it. They're going to say, take it or not take it. We're not forcing you to. Figure that one out.
So it's blackmail, basically.
It is. It's textbook blackmail.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, V, also when I talk about the corruption and when I talk about how this has turned into, it's no longer about the children, it's no longer about the families, that it's about the dollar. When I talk about the corruption and the money-making scheme that is going on here, I'm talking about from the lowest caseworker all the way up to the CEOs of pharmaceutical companies. I mean, it's and everything in between, because it's everybody. From the moment a child is removed from a family and that family is put into services to help them, people start making money. So it's all the way up, whether you're the doctors, whether you're the therapists, whether you're the pharmaceuticals, whether you're the transporters who who bring the medication over, you know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. That's why it's so scary, because we're not talking about something that we can change just because it's the right thing to do. We all know that when you're talking about the dollar bill and the money that people are making, it gets very ugly. And it's more about who's making what kind of money rather than does Deborah get her kids back.
I was never meant to get them back.
Probably not.
No.
I would agree with that. Probably not. And I don't think it's just, I don't even think it's for the reasons that you think. I've said this before, and I'll say it over and over again. And you know, there's people that look at me like I'm crazy, but I see it every single day. Every single day that you weren't going to get your babies back without the proper representation, because you have white children and they are just a hot commodity. The department has turned into a quasi-adoption agency, and again, it's about the money. They get the federal subsidies, each state does, for how many children they place, how many children they place for adoption. And by the way, V, I sent you the data sheet, the new data sheet. I don't know if you got it last week, but yay, Texas, we won again. We placed the most children and got the most amount of federal dollars. So that's why, Deborah, you had lost before it even started, because white babies they're a hot commodity.
I want to go to a commercial break really quickly. I've got some questions when we come back.
While some attorneys accept a variety of cases related to multiple practice areas, some choose to dedicate or even specialize in one particular field. Usually, this is done because the laws within a particular field are highly complex and require focus and a keen sense of the law. The laws surrounding Child Protective Services are indeed complex and require the skill of an attorney who dedicates a significant portion of their practice to this field. Child Protective Services defense attorneys are able to properly explain the CPS process to you, provide you with your options, and also provide insight as how the case might be resolved based on their previous experiences. Any misstep in representation could be extremely serious, including the loss of your parental rights, so it's important to talk to any potential attorneys about their previous work experience.
My name is V. I'm the host of the Red Pill Hardcore TV show, Family Case Files TV show, Infotainment Tonight, and Targeted. And I want to let you guys know about the new TV network, Truthtainment TV Network, which you can find all these wonderful programs on. And even an added bonus, my documentary series, you can find there. The Targeted documentary series. As a matter of fact, I want you guys to please subscribe to our new TV network. And yes, we are still with the Liberty Beacon Television Network as well. So check those guys out too at 2lbtv.com. Thank you.
Nothing in life can be more stressful or frustrating than having your children taken away. The Texas Department of Family and Protective Services is supposed to act in the best interest of children, but that frequently leads to parents losing their constitutional rights. Attorney Julie Ketterman of Ketterman, Heddleston & Aumann, PLLC, understands that parents can make mistakes and has successfully represented parents to get their children home. She believes everyone deserves fair, ethical, and dedicated representation and will work hard to ensure your rights as a parent are protected. Contact attorney Julie Ketterman today to schedule your initial consultation.
We're going to have to take, okay? We're going to have to take. Now, I don't want to get physical, okay, at all. Sorry, Paul.
Oh, sorry.
I know.
Yeah. We've got full parental responsibility. We're married. How did you look at any parental responsibility as well? How did the judge get parental responsibility?
Order there.
No, to be fair. Oh, no!
Can you your face?
No!
You carry on. You will be arrested. That's your hand. Arrest me now, come on. Well, you're poking your elbow to my arm. That isn't a fault. You walk towards me.
Physical contact.
Yes, you are. Come on, please. Look at you, please.
I can't hold it!
Down, if someone stole your child, you're only son, would you? Well then,
I wasn't getting physical! So why are you grabbing me?
you're twisting and kidnapping. What are you doing here anyway? I presume he wants to speak to you. It's a child snatcher.
Okay, yes, this is Family Case Files. We are back from break. And I want to dive right back in, of course. And Deborah, I just want to say, I mean, with all this going on, I mean, this fraud, I mean, how did you, at some point you had to have known that you were getting trapped. I mean, at what point did you feel that this was fraud?
Okay, the turning point came on August 16th of 2006. You know, my dad had died the year the case started, and after they got me to terminate my parental rights, it was almost like there was some sort of like, I know I'm going to sound crazy, but it's like, you know, an angel tapped me on the shoulder and said, go look for this medical record for June 1st of 2002. And when I couldn't find it, it was at that point that I returned to my attorney's office, and he was counting out thousands of dollars. And I said, you know, did DCFS use my doctor? And he said, you know, Dr. So-and-so will never admit to it. And then he actually placed a phone call to the social worker and said, we've got it. And so then I proceeded to go to the police department and file a complaint. And approximately like 3 months later, I got the statement that fraud was not against the law. So so, I mean, they know that I know. They know I know. I've just kept myself out of jail by kind of like, what I've tried to do is what they call like live off the grid or out of sight, out of mind, or it's been very scary with the police department involvement. It was overwhelming. But that I think, you know, I know that I have them scratching their heads because I'm a fighter. I mean, I'm stronger than they thought I was.
Is there any way that she can protect herself? She's got the gag order on her. She's very brave for coming up to the show and talking about this. Anyhow,
yes, yes, you know, I don't.
Go ahead.
I don't even know if it's not a safety issue. You know, I'm just making sure I don't mention names and stuff like this.
Yeah, but so how does she protect herself? I mean, is someone listening, you know, I know somebody's listening to this broadcast because of who I am, but let's say someone from her area catches wind, phone tap, whatever. Can they just decide to come get her and lock her away, or I mean, is this a big issue at this point? for her case?
Probably not at this point, because the children have aged out, and the bottom line is, and this is going to sound absolutely horrible, and I certainly don't mean it the way it sounds, Deborah, but she can't make any more money for them. The kids have aged out, so now it's just a matter of they don't want to rock at the boat. So the only way she can really protect herself is to do exactly what those of us like UV and like me is to stay off the grid and to not talk. If she stays in her house and minds her own business and doesn't talk about this to anybody, never tell her story, never try to find her children, never do any of this, then they'll leave her alone, and she'll have she'll live out her days peacefully.
That's I mean, to me, that's not fair.
No, of course not. I never said it was fair.
I didn't ask for that crime to be done.
So absolutely not. You are a victim,
right?
You're a victim of the system, Deborah. That their duty is to protect children, and their original motive was to guide and support families, to keep families together. And through the years, they've completely shifted to the other end of the spectrum, to where now they not only they break families apart. They are destroying the family unit as we know it.
Oh, terribly, yeah.
And so it's you're a victim of that, and I'm sorry that's happened to you. I wish I could say that you are, the exception, but you're not. You're the rule, because they've destroyed so many, not just families, but children, but mothers and fathers, and
I know.
And what's really, I have to say this, V. When I first started doing this work, and I would meet moms like Deborah. And I'll be real honest with you. When I first started this, I would meet a Deborah, hear her story, and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, she's crazy. She's nuts. This isn't happening. This is a government agency. This is the department. They're not drugging people. They're not forcing her to do. I mean, this is America, right? They're not forcing her to do anything that she doesn't want to do." And it didn't take very long, probably 5 years into it, and I thought, wait a minute. There's too many. There's too many of these moms that they're saying are crazy, that they're saying, are conspiracy theorists, or, all these crazy stories. And it got to the point where I thought, well, it's one of two things. Either they're not crazy, and this stuff is really happening, or if they are crazy, it's the department that's making them crazy, either through the medication, the trauma. You can't tell me, you can ask any mother, you take my kids away from me and rip them out of my arms, I'm going to go nuts. I mean, it's going to drive me crazy. And when Deborah, you are strong. You are one of the strong ones. You're still here. You're telling your story. Hopefully that your story will help other moms, because it's what we see now. And I'm on so many different groups. The suicide rate.
I know.
For mothers that are not getting their children back, who the children are taken away, where they fought for years. It's killing them. it literally is killing them. And we've got so many moms, you know, I'm on this one group. It's almost 2 or 3 times a week where I will hear another mother has taken her life because her rights have been terminated. So I don't know, V. I mean, you tell me. Are they crazy? Is Deborah crazy because the department, the agency, the government made her crazy? Or is she the same one and it's so off the wall sounding crazy that people just think that? Which is it?
Well, it depends on who's controlling the narrative. My personal experience, myself being a whistleblower, not having broken any laws and having these government entities wanting me silent, I've been thrown in a network. It's very clear that I was very sane, even though they kept me there for about 3 weeks. They once kept me there much longer, but everyone was like, why are you here? Why are you here? Nursing staff, why are you here? The nursing staff loved me because I actually saved residents there from being raped. But yeah, they're like, we're trying to get you out of here. The only thing that's stopping you from going is that you're not taking the medication.
You mean you weren't conforming? You weren't conforming to what they wanted you to do?
No, not well. I abide by all the rules. I should take medication. A nurse there did me a solid by giving me an injection and then having to take the blood test immediately. So it seemed like I have buildup of this chemical in my system. Because they wanted me out of there. They knew I wasn't crazy. So with that said, it depends on who's controlling the narrative. And when you have the government, going by what you're saying, that wants to make money, I'm going to go ahead and be the conspiracy theorist that I am, and we'll say that, you know, this is population control. Plain and simple. You have trauma-based mind control. Okay, yeah, follow me. Trauma-based mind control, whole MK Ultra ordeal. You have a system that is taking children away from their parents, from their families. That makes the children subservient, and it's implanted in their head that the government is the supreme power and authority, not your family, not your parents. And so they go on an early track of indoctrination. And yeah, these mothers, fathers are working their butts off, you know, job, or spending all the money they have, giving up their wealth, you know, to the point these children have no inheritance, anything like that, or the parents kill themselves. And it all meets the narrative of population control or population reduction.
You know, honestly, that really, in a way, in a bizarre way, it almost makes sense. Like, you know, taking control of kids and their minds and shaping the future the way they want it.
But that's my rabbit hole. So right back at you. What do you think?
Well, I've always said I don't know that I would really call it population control. I'm gonna have to ponder that one, B. But I will. But I have said that population control. I have said, if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, that the department and what they do when they break families apart, when they then create families through the foster system, through the fostering agents and the agencies and the adoption agencies, that this is indeed social engineering. I mean, that is exactly what they're doing. it becomes very scary when you look at those that are making the decisions to whether you should remove a child, whether you should place with. I mean, they're for the most part, I'm not going to say uneducated, but ignorant to what a family should be, ignorant to what a family may look like, ignorant to what is not abuse or neglect, or ignorant to what children need to developmentally and that sort of thing. There's people making these decisions that don't have a clue.
Right.
What they don't have a clue about some of these families, or I would say almost all of these families, and that's where it gets very scary to me, because even there are times where I am appointed as the ad litem to represent the child, and it scares me to death, and I consider myself not just educated and experienced in dealing with children, but being a mother and a grandmother of 6. You'd think that I'd have a little bit of sense when it comes to making these decisions, and I even get nervous because I think I don't have near enough initials behind my name to be making a decision on whether the relationship between a mother and a father and their children should be severed forever. Who am I to make that decision? What qualifies me to make that decision? Because I've been doing that 20 years? Because and I'm not talking about the clear-cut cases. And we all know they're out there. The clear-cut abuse and neglect cases. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the ones that maybe are right on the fence. And so if I worry about making those decisions, and I consider myself pretty educated on the subject, Lord help those that are who are still wet behind the ears making those decisions. It's very scary.
Well, you bring up a wonderful point of, who these people think they are and why they can just make these decisions so easily. We're going to have to do an entirely separate episode on that one, and I'll give you a hint. It's going to be based on psychology. And I want to say thank you, Deborah, for coming back onto the show. We're gonna do a 3-parter here next week, but we are going to end the show. Julie, really quickly, I want you to talk about your law firm.
My law firm, I am a partner in the law firm. It's Ketterman, Heddleston, and Amen. We have been a firm. We've been working together for I don't know, 7-8 years. The firm. I represent families. I do family law, but 95% of that family law is specifically CPS. I've never worked for CPS. I never will work for CPS. I have never worked for the government. I'm not one of these attorneys that gets out of law school and went to work for the DA's office. I have not worked for the government. I will not work for the government. But I defend families. I fight to keep families together, to keep children with their moms and dads, or to keep siblings together, or if mom and dad aren't able to take care of the kids, I fight for grandparents. And that's what I do every single day. And it's exhausting, but I love it. I'm very passionate about what I do. I do it for, just real quickly, I mean, a lot of people ask me, how can you do this? How can you, how do you stomach it? How are you able to represent moms and dads who sometimes do these horrible things or make these horrible mistakes. And I tell them, first of all, my philosophy is always, the majority of my clients are not bad people. They've just made some poor choices or some bad choices. That doesn't make them bad people. And what I try to explain to people is, regardless of what mom and dad have done, good, bad, ugly, bottom line is they still deserve their day in court. They still have constitutional rights. They still have a right to be protected and zealously represented. That's what my firm does. I pride myself on fighting for the constitutional rights of mothers and fathers. And the bottom line, every parent, Deborah, me, everybody, we have a fundamental constitutional right to parent our children. From disciplining them to teaching them religion or not, vaccinating or not, public schools, homeschooling, we have a fundamental constitutional right to parent our children. And the government is interfering with that, and it makes me sick to my stomach. So that's what I get up every morning and fight through my firm.
Well, we need more people like you. We need an army.
You know, I wish we did. I wish we did. I could tell you that there aren't many. I mean, there are a handful of lawyers in Texas. There's a handful across the United States. There's not many of us that do this to this level. And it's either I don't know if we're brave or stupid. You know,
well, we got to do what we got to do, and that is the bottom line. We weren't put here on this earth just to be moved around like little chess pieces. I mean, I'm no one's pawn. You're no one's pawn. We're no one's property. And yeah, we have our constitutional rights, and we must make the government understand that fact. And so, yes, this has been another episode of Family Case Files. I'm your host, Lee, and that's Judge Julie Cameron.